Hello, this is Timothy Bond with True Vine Publishing Company, and you're watching the next episode of The Right Change, where our guests today are Ken Crooks and Shelly Crooks Michael, authors of Heart Love to Head Love. Hello, Mr. Crooks and Mrs. Michaels. How are you today?
Hi, Tim. We are doing great. How are you?
Great.
More wonderful, Tim.
Wonderful, wonderful. First, let me start off by thanking you both for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this vision. It's been a long road, right, Shelly?
It's been a long road.
It's been a road, but very...
We made it.
Yes.
Well paced, Tim. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been worth it, and it's been a wonderful experience. Shelly and I and Mrs. Crooks got a chance to work hand in hand. It's been going on a year now?
Probably a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half. But it's definitely been worth it. So I'm excited to share this wonderful work and the inspiration, the motivation, and the hard work that's gone into it with our audience. So first, I'd like to give you all both a chance to just introduce yourselves and let the Right Change audience know who you are.
Well, I'm Ken Crooks, Tim, as you mentioned earlier, 91 years old and moving on. It's an enjoyable experience. And when my daughter and I started talking about this about a year and a half ago, we weren't sure where it was going. But I'll tell you, the pieces just seem to have fit in place very nicely. And the end result, I think, is a positive one.
I agree. So I'm Shelly Michael, the co-author of Heart Love to Head Love. And this has been a very interesting and exciting journey that we have both enjoyed. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of trudging through the mud, but we made it, and we were very happy that the end result is like top notch.
Now let me just say this young man sitting in front of me right now, and he looks about 53 years old. This young man. Now, how old are you, Mr. Crooks?
91.
91.
On that point.
91. Amazing story. And I have to admit, just first of all, I want to say this. Just working with you all and working with Shelly, you all came along in a time in my personal life where I was dealing with my mom and the effects of dementia, and then you all came along, and Shelly not only became a client but actually became a sounding board for me, a consultant, a counselor in many ways. So your story is amazing, especially yours, Mr. Crooks, taking on the challenge of caregiving for, I won't tell your story, but I'll let you all tell the story, but both of you taking on the challenge of caregiving of people with dementia. So tell the story of how we got to this point.
Well, I don't know whether I started it with the roots and the trunk, or Shelly started with the leaves and the branches, but whatever it was, was a combination effort that ended up, I think, in an excellent opportunity for people to understand a little bit more about the process of participating in that experience. It's not something that goes and comes. Once it gets started, it continues to roll.
And so our story, generally, I'll give you just a rundown for the readers. It is about, our whole mission is about awareness and education about dementia and Alzheimer's. So the story is about a blended family, and two members of the family end up getting dementia. And so we go through all the different aspects of people's reactions and how people feel and family members' reactions and what you need to do and how do you know that this is it. So it's prime for someone who may be going through something with a loved one and they're not quite sure what it is. Maybe this is something that needs to be brought up at a doctor's office, or go ahead and take that step to look into what's happening with that loved one.
I personally experienced what it's like to have someone in the house who's suffering with this neurocognitive disorder. You were personally, Mr. Crooks, you were personally dealing with your own health challenges while taking care of your wife and your ex-wife. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, it was a wonderful ride. And my daughter, I think, is going to be and continues to be the staff that holds me up and makes it possible for me to participate in the experience. My first wife is still alive. My second wife is no longer here, but she is the one that really started the challenge of trying to put the pieces together.
Mm.
How much of this do you understand? Where do you get the information from? What do you do? What don't you do? And when you begin to put those pieces together, it makes a little difference. And that's probably what the story is all about.
And you as well, Shelly, I know, in the story, we try to really balance and make sure that we share the nature of doing this and not making you seem like a superwoman. But to a certain extent, it was like you were a superwoman. Tell us about your experience in caregiving for.
So there is a character in the book that somewhat mirrors the things that I was going through. And that person, the reader's able to see the story from that person's perspective. And there's a lot that comes upon the main caregiver or care partner in these types of situations. So it seems like it is a lot, and it probably is a lot. But when you're going through it, you just do it because you have to. And then the key is, like the title of the book, heart love to head love, and start thinking of some things more in your head than just all emotional, because at that point you're managing a situation and it's different from what it used to be.
Mr. Crooks, now you came up with that statement, and I can tell you it rang so loud when I had my mom at my house for a week before we moved her into memory care. And it was a revelation. I've been working with you all on this book. I've been looking at this title for a year. But when I had my mom at my house, it really rang true. Heart love to head love. Tell us about the notion of heart love.
I've been involved with some caregiver groups and doing the conversations, actually, as I listened to folks and heard them misunderstanding things and not understanding what was going on. I've heard experiences where people were actually hiding the whole idea of dementia and how it affects the families that are involved. And I think of myself, when I was taking care of my kids, changing diapers and taking them to school and trying to make a life for them better than the life that I had. And then now here I am, 91 years old, and I have become the child for my dear daughter, who is becoming the head perspective. No, the relationship is solid, but her approach to resolving some of the issues that my wife and I had was one that dealt more with a brain perspective rather than a heart perspective. And that's how the words heart love, the head love came about, I think. Want to add to that, Joe? Because you're the one that
I think that's accurate. It really came out in one of our support group meetings. There were lots of members in the group who were just struggling, having a hard time. He was the elder in the group. And so as they were telling him stories or needing support and things like that, he would always default to heart love to head love, and encourage people to start thinking that way to help them get over these bumps and humps that they were dealing with their person, their loved one.
I think it's so admirable and amazing that at this point, Mr. Crooks, you come to that realization of like the dynamic change, and how we get to that point where now we need our kids to take care of us and look out for us as opposed to us looking out for them. Was that a tough transition for you?
When they took the car keys and the checkbook, both the disappointment, a disappointment and a challenge. I think that whole idea of moving from senior to really senior, and that's what it's all about, I think, it's pretty important. As people begin to, and then when you add age to the fact that you will have to take care of someone who is on a different level mentally than you are, there is a delicate process in dealing with them so that they are not felt as though they're being beaten upon or whipped or spanked, but more a loving but brain influenced approach to how you handle these individuals. The caregiver partnership is really a type one to deal with. Is sometimes it's very difficult. I think we've had a couple of examples where the care partners really did not understand what the issues were involved. They wanted to straighten things out right quickly, and that's not the way to do it. And the story tells about how that process works and how one best might move in that direction to make sure that everybody is happy in the process.
I love the relationship that you all have. I love the fact that at 91, Mr. Crooks, you are still creating, still doing ambitious things. It's really an encouragement that life doesn't stop. And I hope this doesn't come off wrong, but life doesn't stop even in a retirement home, right? Because here you are and you're still creating and writing books at the age of 91. I just think that's awesome. And I don't want to let this interview go by without acknowledging what you mean to the Black community, because from my understanding, Mr. Crooks, you were very involved in civil rights, and I would love to give you that opportunity to share, your experience as a well, you're still a young man, and
Thank you, sir.
Your experience as a younger man.
Yeah, well, I was involved with this back in 1960, in the early 60s, when the transition was taking place from that America, which we are moving toward now. While I was involved with the student movement, representing the Atlanta University graduate school sections with Morris Brown Clark, Spelman, and the Interdenominational Theological Center, we really had an exciting time trying to change America to where it should be. And that's what it was all about.
Well, I want to thank you. Because of people like you, I live in a world where I have those freedoms. And like you said, it's getting to the point where we're going to have to start fighting for those freedoms again, looks like. But, you laid the groundwork to at least give us those fundamentals in the fight. So I want to appreciate that. What was it like, Shelly, working with Dad, Papa Crooks, as I call him? What was it like working with Papa Crooks?
Yeah, it was actually a very good interaction and relationship to go through the process. We kept each other on our toes. We did a lot of proof reading, proof writing, getting together, deciding how the story should flow. Should we, make this character do this? No, let's not talk about that part, but let's focus on this part, which would be more interesting to certain people. It was a great experience all together. I think we're a good team, a good partnership. We'll put each other in our places and we carry on.
And we actually learned a lot more about each other in the process, Tim. Once you go just a little bit below the surface and you start digging into stuff, you hear a new perspective that evolves based on the dialogue. And I think we've both grown in that sense. And that's what the book really is designed to do. Designed for folks to really examine where they are and where their partners are, and see if there's something just below the surface that you need to dig into, and all of a sudden realize that, hey, there's a brand new world out there in lots of ways. And we think that was productive. So
tell us about the grand launch. We got a specific day coming up. So tell us when the book launches.
We do. We have decided to launch the book on September 21st, which is actually World Alzheimer's Awareness Day. So it's going to be all over the media and all over the internet that people are becoming more aware and learning more about the disease, and hopefully shifting everything towards finding a cure for this. So September 21st is our date, and that will be our awareness and release day.
Awesome. So we definitely need to get the word out to all the media, newspapers. How can people get in contact with you if they want to learn more about your personal stories? Or are you all opening up as well to kind of talk to people about this disorder and how they can, maneuver through it like you did?
We are definitely open to talking to any groups or any people about us. You can Google me, Shelly Michael. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, everywhere else. And then I'm usually the connector to get Papa Crooks and to get everything scheduled. And then, of course, anyone can get the book at True Vine Publishing, where you are.
Yes.
So yeah, we're here to chat.
And we know Papa Crooks is not shy. He is not shy, so he will talk.
Real talk.
Just give me the signal and tell me what direction to go. North, south, east, or west.
Right. That's all you need. And you're off to the races. It's been wonderful having you all on the show. Everyone, I really want you to support this book. It is a blessing. I know from personal experience, the benefits that I've had, the knowledge that I've been able to gain, and the understanding that I've been able to gain concerning dementia, Alzheimer's, and cognitive disorder. And a lot of people are going through this. And they just need some support. They need somebody to tell them, one, like you used to tell me, Shelly, it's okay to feel how you feel, because sometimes you do not feel good, and to know that there is an end, a positive end to it all. So thank you all. Everyone, share this video.
Learn to read if you can't yet.
Right. That's the first thing we need. If you can't read, definitely learn to read. Well, you all have a wonderful day, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks a
Talk
lot.
to you later.
Appreciate you.